Today's guest is Ahimsa Tori. Ahimsa had a near-death experience where he had a massive download, and today we're going to learn about it. Ahimsa, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time today, and welcome.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Great. All right, so my audience loves to hear about near-death experiences, and if you don't mind, can we start on the day yours happened and go from there?
Well, I don't have the exact date. That would be, but it was right around the age of 18 or 19 years old that happened. I had just gotten out of group homes. I'd been in group homes my whole life, from when I was about 5 till 18. So when I got out, I was a little bit of a mess, but and I was doing things I shouldn't be doing. But to kind of bring everybody up to speed, what happened is, okay. I was on psych meds in the group homes, Meloril for anger, dizipramine for depression, and lithium for chemical imbalance, I think is what it was. And so, you shouldn't obviously be on those things and doing other drugs as well on top of it. This is how it all came down, basically. My body obviously couldn't handle it. It was just too much. But I went out with a friend, and we picked up some LSD. And from there, it just went downhill until I can't remember anything for a while. I don't remember anything. And then all of a sudden I came back around, and it was like I was next to myself, or, like how some people say they're outside of themselves and they can see themselves kind of thing. That's pretty much where I was at that point. I remember briefly being on the phone with my father because my friend got really, really scared. I mean, this really freaked him out. I went out. I wasn't okay, and he knew it. I couldn't speak. I was wandering around the house mumbling and just being really weird. He put me on the phone with my father, who was, this is all in San Francisco, by the way. It's where this happened. When my dad got on the phone with me, I was just like, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't speak. I remember talking to him too. I could understand him completely. I was fully alert, fully aware of what he was saying, but I couldn't speak, of the phone call. I mean, I remember having that phone call with him. Then I'm not exactly sure how, all of it. I don't know. I don't know how to explain this. I can't give you exact times of okay. So it started out at my friend's house, and eventually I woke up in the hospital with charcoal around my lips, and they had pumped my stomach. The doctor told me I came close. He let me know. He said, you're whoa, you're lucky, buddy. You're still here. I was like, okay, kind of scared the crap out of me. I had peed on myself. I urinated on myself. I had to go home and clean up and everything. I mean, it was pretty bad. So in the middle of all of this, for me leaving my friend's house, he called the ambulance, obviously, and the cops, and they came and rushed me to the hospital. At points of the night, so the massive download part, I remember being super, super alert as far as I knew who I was, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function like a normal person at all. So I was there, but I wasn't there. And then I don't know how it happened, but at some point in the night, all of a sudden my mind opened up, and I had the cure to every disease, and I knew it. I mean, I could cure cancer, AIDS, anything. I knew it. I knew how to do it. And I was like, oh man, I got to hold on to this. If I could hold on to this, I wasn't sure why I was aware of that. I don't know what the heck was going on. I was really okay, I knew I could solve problems, with ease. It's like I had unlocked a part of my brain that I was unaware I could use, and it just was so strange, And then I blacked out again, just so there was that moment, then I was gone, and then I came back around and I was standing on the porch of my friend's house, or I think it was outside. I remember because I was stepping on the slugs. I can remember feeling them under my feet, and then I blacked out again. It was just a small moment there. I don't remember much about that. I just remember being on the porch. And then eventually I was on the couch staring at my stomach. And uh, that's when the ambulance guys came in. They rushed me to the hospital, obviously, and that's when I was outside of myself. I remember seeing them push, they were trying to get a IV into me for something in my arm. And I'm not sure if they were having a great deal of success or not, because I had a bunch of welts on my arm when I finally came around to the hospital. Uh, I do remember looking down at myself and I was covered in plaid. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I like my skin was plaid. It looked like a shirt, but it was skin, obviously. And then I came out of it in the hospital. That's when I was talking to the doctor. And but I guess the thing about the whole experience was just that I had knowledge of things I shouldn't have had knowledge about, like how to cure, diseases, and it was just that's pretty much how it went down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can kind of piece it back together for me. So you had taken the LSD and then you at some point started tripping, but then you started going, your body just started shutting down, it sounds like at some point,
Yeah,
maybe it was reacting
right.
to that with all the
Yeah,
the other medication you were on.
yeah. The doctor told me. The doctor even told me. He said, that was really stupid. You're on a bunch of, other medications that are really heavy duty, and yeah, that all of this doesn't go together in your body,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. I mean, I was like, yeah, no, and I never did it again, by the way.
Right.
I mean, I was like, okay, that was too close for my, yeah.
Too close for comfort. I'm sure there's going to be detractors that say, oh, you were just tripping, on LSD. That wasn't really a thing. But you saw yourself
Sure.
completely outside of your body, looking at your body, correct?
Oh yeah, I did. Yes. They can say what they want. I know how I felt. Yeah.
As far as I know,
when you go through it yourself,
mm-hmm.
it's one of those things. I've heard other people tell their stories, and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. It's like, okay, you probably did experience something, but there's some people that'll say like, oh, they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and okay, that's fine. And then they say that's because their brain is depleted of oxygen and so on and so forth. It's like, you can excuse it away all you want, but I'm one of those kind of people that I'm not like a heavy duty religious person, but I do know that we're here, and obviously for some reason there's just too much intelligence about it, too many things going on, in my opinion. Trees grow, fingers move, mind works, and our eyes see. It's like we reproduce, babies are born. It's all a real big miracle, if you ask me.
Yeah. While you were outside of your body, did you happen to look around the house or see other things, see any other beings, or how did you feel? Did you feel at peace or happy or anything like that?
The one thing I do remember is okay. I do remember feeling like it was the end of the world for a little while. There was that kind of a feeling. I was a little nervous about that at first. But I do remember feeling okay. I wasn't really scared,
Mm-hmm.
almost like I didn't have time to be scared, or it was, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like I went through the whole thing, and it was really close. It was a close call, and I didn't really worry about it until afterwards. Like, oh my gosh, I almost came close to biting the bullet there. And that's when I started to go, okay, well, maybe I should make some changes in my life or not do that kind of stuff. But during the experience, I don't remember feeling real super scared.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty comfortable. I wasn't worried, I guess,
Right. I'm not really clear. When you were speaking to your father on the phone, were you outside of your body at that time? At the same time you were talking to him, or that hadn't happened yet?
No, actually, that's funny you bring that up, because okay, so like going through it, I was in and out.
Okay.
With my dad, I don't believe so. I remember still being like somewhat there with my. I wasn't outside of my body yet. No, I don't think so.
Mhm.
I do remember hearing myself mumble. I couldn't talk. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. He was like, "You okay, son?" And I'm like, "Yeah, blah blah." I just couldn't speak. You know,
Mhm.
it was really weird. I lost like the ability to or something. Um, but like my mind was overloading. I could still understand things, you know, and I don't know. It's just really an interesting experience for sure. But yeah,
So you were kind of in and out. You were in and out starting on the couch, and then as they took you in the ambulance and took you to the hospital, you were still kind of in and out the whole time.
no, the ambulance ride. I remember being in the ambulance, and I was definitely outside of my body at that point.
So you were just out watching the whole
That
scene go
was,
down.
yeah. I was like looking at the ambulance. I wasn't floating above myself per se, but I was looking at myself.
Hmm.
I don't want to sit there and say I was hovering or anything that kind of stuff, but I was outside of my body. I believe, anyways.
Hmm.
That's what I believe.
Did you come to a realization at any point that, hey, I'm outside of my body? Am I dead, or what's going on, or anything like that?
No, actually, it's kind of like it was natural.
Hmm.
I mean, like this isn't something that happens. Um, like when a person, I guess, dies, maybe that's what goes down. I don't know. I didn't feel too incredibly unusual about it. It was like I was just dealing with it as it was happening. It was just
Hmm.
that's what's happening.
Hmm.
You know, and I wasn't really able to. I didn't really think about it.
Hmm. After
I,
this all,
I didn't have. Yeah.
I was gonna say, after all this
No, I'm
happened,
sorry. Go ahead.
it's okay. It doesn't matter. After all this happened, how did you process that experience over the next few days or weeks?
Well, while it was fresh, yeah. I was. I remember thinking to myself, I wish I could have held on to that info a lot.
Hmm.
Because I mean, while I was, I that's the part I wanted to explain to you, the massive download part. I literally understood what you would have to do in order to cure this or cure that, or it was really really weird. I mean, I understood, like, what do they call it, physics,
Hmm.
or how a person would go about what you would have to do. I really was. I was disappointed that I couldn't retain the information. You know, I I knew in my heart that I had something that was special for a
Hmm.
minute there. You know, and then it was gone
Hmm.
when I came back around,
Hmm.
and I was really. I did. I thought about it. Thought about it. I mean, how could you not? I mean,
Right.
it's a really interesting experience to go through.
Sure. Do you think it changed you at all in any way?
Well, I mean, as far as the way I live my life, well, again, growing up in group homes, I didn't really have the I mean, I knew my mother and father, but I didn't live with them. So I grew up in the system. I was a ward of the court, and I had a lot of resentment for a while. And I was already, as soon as I turned 18, I was off on, I'd been to jail a few times already. And the thing about going to jail after you've been in group homes your whole life, you're institutionalized. So when you go to jail, you feel comfortable.
Mm.
It's like there's just, you don't have to worry anymore. Well, what are they going to do? Arrest me? I mean,
Hmm.
I'm here, and they're going to feed me, give me a bed, and I don't have to worry, and I don't have to pay the bills or nothing. I don't got none of that stuff. And so I did think about those kind of things, and I realized that especially after this experience, that if I wanted to live some kind of a productive life, I need to try to veer another direction. So, in doing something bad, though, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it was because, obviously, people shouldn't tamper with their bodies the way I was.
Mm.
Um, that's just my opinion on it.
Mm.
I think being sober is a good thing,
Yeah.
but back then I was like, hey, this feels good. That feels good. And I'd had many great experiences before
Mm.
this happened.
Mm.
So that's why I was doing it, because I liked the way it felt. And then then I had, obviously, that night happened. And yeah, like I said, I was scared afterwards. I was kind of like, whoa, I mean, it's like almost getting in a car accident and realizing, shoot, I just, I just got out of that. It's
Mm.
crazy. So,
Did you have any spiritual or paranormal experiences before that?
I can't say that I've like, again, the thing about me is I've never struggled with religion. Uh, I've always known, I've always known that there's something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it in my heart. I just know I don't have to go get dunked in water, and I don't have to, follow a guru down another path. And my parents did that kind of stuff. But, I've always known it. I've always been comfortable with it. I've never really been too concerned with the outcome of my life and like how, so I've always known there's something there.
Right.
And I've never felt alone per se. Like, no, I've always known there's something watching over me, or, I've always known that there's something, that's there in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm here for a reason, whatever reason that might be, raising my kids. I don't know, anything, could be anything, but, so I've always been comfortable there. My dad even told me when I was, just a little boy, one of the first words I used to say, we'd drive by a church and I go, Buddha there, or, and say stuff like that, probably because I heard him talk about it, or, and I remember one of the first words in my mind I used to get, I get hung up on when I was around 5 or 4 years old was like the word Lord. I used to think about that a lot, like the Lord, like it was a big deal in my head, so those kinds of things were already present in my life, I think,
Mm-hmm.
even in a small way when I was just a little boy. It wasn't like too heavy, but, enough for a little kid to basically deal with.
Right.
I've never actually had any kind of, I've never actually or had an experience as far as meeting up with the beings or anything like that. I have seen some weird stuff, but that's a whole other story.
Has the memory of this experience faded over time, or does it still seem, pretty fresh?
That's the part I'm having a difficult time with you as far as talking about it is, it is, I remember it and I'm able to tell you about it, but it is definitely faded. It's not like it was when I first came out of it. It was a lot more clear in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I remember it happening. I knew it happened, and whether I was losing my mind or it actually happened, that's for anybody to guess, I guess. I mean, hey, what? Somebody could say he was just tripping. Okay, maybe I was, but it didn't feel that way. Right. I remember tripping. I know what that felt like. Right. And then this whole other experience was like, it was clear.
Right.
When I'd done LSD before this, prior to it, I remember hearing echoes and tracers and that kind of stuff. It messes with your mind, your ability to see. And that was a completely different experience,
Right.
This one was like, it was like I was yanked out of myself and I was made clear. Like I went from being completely high to sober, but somewhere else, not inside myself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like it was as you say it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you get pulled out of your body, let's say you do separate, if your soul comes away from your body probably still is high.
Yeah.
It probably still is experiencing all that stuff because it's your body, it's physical. The spiritual part came out. That's how I know that I was away from myself, but I can also sense it. Got a kid crying over there. Sorry about that. Sorry. But I knew that I wasn't with myself at that point. I mean, I was still with myself, but not with myself,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the best way to explain it,
right.
So like I took a shoe off, you get out of your clothes at the end of the day, it's like, here's your clothes. You were in them all day, but they're not. So,
right. I like that analogy.
That's the best way I could put it.
What is your thoughts on death now? Do you not fear it anymore? Did it change that? Or
you know what? It's funny you bring that up because before this happened, I used to think about it all the time. I don't know about other people, but as a kid, I'd worry about my dad dying because, I mean, even though we didn't grow up together, we still talk to this day. In fact, he just gifted me with a nice guitar, and say, hey, son, why don't you have a guitar? And, so we still talk. We have a relationship. But I used to worry about him dying. I didn't want to lose him. And now, as well as myself, I used to be afraid of that too. Like, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. And afterwards, it's like you don't have to worry about. Let's see how you explain that. I know I don't have to worry about it because I'm going to be okay. It's weird. It's just a part of life. we're all going to go through it. It doesn't have to be scary. I mean, as long as I've lived my life as best I can, then, I mean, I don't know what happens to good and bad people. Well, people that do bad things to people or whatever, and then they come to meet that point, they could go to the grave or whatever. Well, they have to answer for those things. I don't know. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that that's how it is, but I know that I'm going to go somewhere. I do know that. Yeah. And so if I were to be really honest with you, no, I'm not scared. I don't think so. It's not like I'm going out to look for a way to die either, but when it happens, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Have you thought over the years, okay, was I saved from dying for a reason? Is there a reason, or do I have a purpose, or have you discovered that?
Yes, I do feel that way, actually, as my life has unfolded since that happened, with everything. I mean, I've gone from, especially when I had my kids, they're supposed to be here. They're not just an accident. I got 2 daughters, and we're both, I'm really close with them, and they're a part of this world for their reason, whatever it is. But I was supposed to be here definitely for them, and that's just one thing that makes me believe that yes, I wasn't supposed to go. And I do feel like I was being shown something, but I've never really been able to grab it, But I figure like this, okay, so it's confusing for me as it is for you. You know what I mean? So when I'm trying to explain it to you, I'm kind of feeling frustrated because, well, I want to give you more, but I don't really know how. This is what happened, and I'm sharing it with you. But I like to believe that it's. I was given something, and I was allowed to remember it to some degree, and it was almost like a. Don't worry, it's kind of going to be okay kind of thing, You're going to be okay. That's what I got out of it, basically, at the end of it all, And I mean, it took a couple of weeks, like you said. It was fresh in my head. But, yeah, things changed after that. So. They really did.
Besides whatever you've just told me, do you think you got any other message out of that experience?
Well... some things we're supposed to know right now. Some things we're not supposed to know until we're supposed to know them, I guess, and, that's a weird one, Okay. Back in the 80s, I had friends that had HIV, that died of that. I'm sure we all did, at that point, because we go through the 80s too. And I used to think to myself, God, man, if I could just get that guy out of this mess, I mean, he's going to die, and back then they did, once it went full blown, it was like that. And so I used to be really frustrated. I wish I could have done something, and especially after I had that experience, I was like, man, I had this thought, I knew I could just put on that white coat, take what that got out of that night and just, I'd love to cure it. I'd love to make that happen. Not for any real reasons or money or anything like that, but just to save somebody's life. Or, it's all we have, right? In the end,
right?
And I don't know if other people care so much about that or not. I do. I think we all deserve to be here for the time we are, and if we can experience the full amount of it, that'd be nice. Have you ever gone to the cancer institutes or anything like that, and actually visited the kids?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I did that once. Let me tell you, man, I don't care how tough you are. I mean, full blown. I walked in there and I couldn't keep myself from crying. These kids are so optimistic. They walk around with bald heads and they're like totally happy about the moment, So sorry about that. It brings it back when I did that. The kids, man. I mean, it's like you visit them and they're just like happy to see you. They don't even know who you are. They're just like, oh, somebody's coming, like they running out. Anyways, it's an interesting experience. If we can actually experience that, you should. But so they're grateful for the moment, And but man, if I could just help them out, I wish I could. But
Yeah, that'd be
So
great.
being given something like that for what I don't even know if it was 5 minutes or an hour. I don't know how long I was hanging out there retaining that information that night. I can't give you a time frame, but I do remember it felt like a while. And I was thinking about these things and I was pondering on these things, and I was like, wow, I could totally like fix this, all of this.
Yeah.
The whole world was a mess, I could fix it. And it was, yeah, it's just bizarre, bro.
Yeah, it's too bad you didn't keep that knowledge.
God, I wish I could have, but maybe I wasn't supposed to. Maybe it was just like you said. Maybe it was something being shown to me at the moment.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if I unlocked a part of my brain that we use. We only use what do they say? Something like 15% of it, and something else happened there. And then when I came back around, I was back to normal old me for a minute.
When you came back to your body for good and you weren't popping out anymore, were you disappointed? Like, oh, I'm back here, or I'm back in my body again. I'm stuck back in this meat.
No. I was grateful. I was still happy to be here. I've always been pretty positive, as far as those kinds of, I mean, before the experience, even though I was acting up and stuff, I was still happy to be here. I was happy to have life. I would be a liar if I said I don't want to be here. I'm glad that I have that gift, and it is a gift, and I was tampering with it, and it's fragile. So, but there's that. But yeah, no, I walked away from that feeling, I was happy to survive that.
Well, that's good.
I could have done some real damage to myself,
Yeah.
Too many things all at once in one body, and it just started coming apart.
Right. All right. Well, I usually offer this to my guests, and I don't know if you have anything, but is there anything that you would like me to promote for you? Like, do you have a website or a Facebook page or anything?
Oh no, I got my Facebook page, but it's I got you on YouTube. I see your podcast. I just watched the one with the I think it was a black gentleman that you were talking to. It just popped up on my phone. So
which one?
He wasn't afraid.
Was who again? I'm sorry.
I didn't catch the guy's name. I just watched part of the show while I was at work last night. Your show you were talking to this gentleman, and he was talking about how he wasn't afraid when he had no fear. Oh. Yeah. I believe that's what it was. I was also in the middle of work, so I was kind of in and out looking at it.
I would tell your boss you were listening.
Yeah, no, they don't care. I work the graveyard, so as long as I get my stuff done, that's all they care about. Yeah. And I do.
So you are on Facebook. If some people may watch this podcast and want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that? Or are you more of a
sure. If you
person?
Want to pop it up, absolutely. If you want to, I believe we're on Messenger, so you should be able to punch up my profile right there, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, if you wanted to put it up or whatever, that's fine.
All right, cool.
I have no problem sharing this stuff. I told my sister about it. She's like, "Oh, you got to talk to this guy." She had just had the conversation with you about her experience, Which, by the way, if anybody had any doubts, it's 100% true. I was with my sister. I can tell you right off the top. But, yeah, she's like, you need to talk to this guy I just talked to. He does this thing about near-death experiences, unusual things. I mean, so yeah, I said, yeah, sure. And that's how we became, yeah, which is cool. I'm glad to be able to tell you about it because, I mean, let people take what they want from it if they want, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there is listening that can have a similar experience. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, almost every NDE that I post, I would probably assume that I get at least one comment from somebody that says, hey, this NDE, this story, this person's experience helped me.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So,
well, I mean, hopefully that's the way. Maybe that's what it's all about. Maybe it came to this point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Having a conversation with you at your podcast and having a good conversation about what went down, and I was more than happy to share it. I just forgive me for being a little jumpy as I talk because I'm not real. Some people have a silver tongue.
No,
I don't do real well with the conversating with folks as much as others, but I still try my best.
No, you're doing great. All right. Well, before we wrap it up here, is there any kind of message that you can give to the audience?
Yeah, don't do drugs. No, I mean that's obvious. Yeah. But my message, yeah, if you get some kind of a special opening or an awakening, or I'd like to call it a moment of clarity.
and something special happens, try to retain it if you can. Because if you're allowed to have it, I don't know, maybe it's not in our control to have those things, but try. That'd be my message. Because you just never know.
Yeah, no, thank you for that message. And Ahimsa, thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you letting me be on the show to share this with you. It's fun. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, have a great evening.
All right, you too, my friend.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.